The other day, Elon Musk posted on X that he has no respect for anybody who posts on LinkedIn because it's all cringe. And ah man, that kind of triggered me because I had to really step back and take a look at all the work that I had put into LinkedIn over the past couple of years and try and figure out what it really means for me. And so I decided, now's a good time to talk about it. So here we go. Do you really anoint yourself as the world's most followed spiritual leader at 56,000 followers? I mean, I've got almost as many followers as you, and I'm nowhere even near the zip code of being the world's most anything. But to put it like that, I mean, bro, man, what is going on here? Now, before we talk about LinkedIn, I got to come clean with you. First, I'm wearing this tight shirt because I'm all out of laundry, and I think this is my wife's shirt. I don't think it's my son's shirt. It's too big for my son. I think it's my wife's shirt, so I squeezed into it. So my bad for the tight-fitted shirt. But I need to come clean and tell you that I actually was one of those people on LinkedIn. And I'll tell you why I did it, but I grew a following of over 40,000 people over on that platform, and I kind of just stopped posting over there recently. And I'll tell you why. The truth is, I kind of left LinkedIn some months ago. Ever since actually I started spending more time creating videos here on YouTube, I kind of stopped my activity over there because I didn't really see the value anymore of posting there. And actually just recently, a couple of weeks ago, I decided to give it one more shot and go back to LinkedIn and start posting a little bit and seeing if there's anything there for me still. And I'm not going to post this on LinkedIn because there's no point in posting it over there. But I'll say it here. I mean, I really didn't see any value after trying again, and the reason is because I just, it's just a bunch of fakery over there. I'm sorry to say, but I do feel like LinkedIn is the most fake platform out there. I mean, other platforms are fake. Don't get me wrong. Like you go to Instagram, people look, better than they are in real life. You go to Facebook, people talk about their vacations being better than in real life, and so on and so forth. So, there's all kinds of levels of fakery going on in different platforms. But the thing about LinkedIn is because you're tied to, your job and your career, and it's really who you are. Like you can't hide behind anything. The level of fakeness to protect yourself. I get it, right? Like you don't want to come out like and look like an ass and have yourself like compromised for your career, right? Your well-being, cash money. You don't want that. So you put up a facade, right? And the facade is many, 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 many layers because of this. And what happens is you have like this environment where everyone's kind of like, hey, I'll clap for you if you clap for me type of going on. And there's been a lot of, video parodies of this, and you can find them online. They're actually quite hilarious.
Congratulations.
Thumbs up.
Keep up the good work.
I'm embarking on a new chapter and we'll be buying the boys a round of beers.
I endorse this round. Fantastic news. Looking forward to partnering with the boys again for another round. Fantastic news. Valuable insights.
Big things are coming. Beers.
But you basically get everybody clapping for each other so that everybody benefits, and all the likes, and that promotes this culture of it's just not real, right? And so and the other thing is it also promotes not so great quality to rise to the top, because again, everybody's just like patting each other on the back so that everybody can become an influencer over there, and so you get stuff that's really not that great, but like it rises to the top. So the quality is not great. So here's a coach who says, 21 practices to earn respect. Number 1, be kind to everyone. Really? Number 1, be kind to everyone. Okay. The really weird thing about LinkedIn is it's supposed to be the most authentic social network, right? Because you put your profile up and you talk about your job in your, experience, and people trace that back to you, right? So pretty much, and they have this like verify capability, kind of like Twitter and all this, but it's like real verification with your credentials, right? So it's supposed to translate into authenticity, meaning you are who you claim to be on LinkedIn, right? And you can get called out. And so for that reason, the idea that it's supposed to be an authentic network kind of grew, but in reality and in practice, I find it actually to be the most fake network. It's totally fake, right? And it's because of the corporate culture cringe. What happens is nobody wants to. It's basically what happens at work, but magnified by a million, right? Nobody wants to step out of line. Nobody wants to do anything to damage their career. Nobody wants to be who they are, right? Just like kind of at work, you can't voice your own opinion. You're afraid you're going to get fired. You can't speak your thoughts. So you're kind of like this enslaved mind operating within fear of getting fired. So you kind of act in this very like safe mode way. And that basically is what you see in LinkedIn, right? Like no one's going to hit the like button on something that's kind of controversial. Forget about posting anything that's controversial. So you get this very filtered, like safe version of everybody where everyone's just like clapping. And that's why you get the cringe posts of everybody just supporting each other. Oh, that's great that this happened. Nobody ever says anything that's questionable. And the few who do are kind of looked and frowned down upon by basically the community and the network, right? If you actually voice your opinion on something, you can get shot down. And that's kind of the way it is. So you've got this like yes sir type of like corporate like religion culture permeating throughout LinkedIn, and everybody's just like patting everybody on their backs to kind of keep up with the thing. Like if you compare LinkedIn to a place like X, for example, like because of the concern that people have over their careers and looking good, basically, right? So the range of like what people will talk about and discuss is very like narrow. It's a narrow range, right? And in there's not that much quality because you can't really say what you want to say, and so that just buckets it into this envelope of a narrow range of what people talk about. And that, I mean, I get it, but it's just not there for me, right? And so if you go to a place like X where it's not narrow anymore, but it's actually really wide because people can just say whatever the hell they want over there, but that works in both ways, like you can have a lot of noise and a lot of, you want to call it hate or, negativity, but at the same time that enables basically good discourse, right? And that's why you'll see, I mean, literally, like the top people in their fields are on X. They're not like active on LinkedIn, right? It doesn't matter if you're talking about politicians, like the top politicians, like the presidents of big nations that change the world, they're on X, right? They're talking on X, right? They're not on LinkedIn. If you go into the world of science, it's the same thing. Like remember in COVID when the latest information was coming out from the preprint servers about studies and theories? I mean, that was all going on X, right? That was where I had to go to do some of my work for COVID. I went to X to see what the latest and greatest was going on, right, among the scientists. Same thing with academics. If you go to business, like if you talk about entrepreneurs, like the top entrepreneurs aren't X, right? Paul Graham, people who started entrepreneurship and YC, and so they're there, right? And the list goes on, right? Entertainment, blah blah blah. They're all X. Like, not to say that none of them are on LinkedIn. Some of them are, but they're not the top of the top. They're like everybody underneath, like middle management and lower, are just going over in X, talking about stuff. And the level of discussion is just on a different plane. Like I said, though, it comes with the baggage of all the fake noise that you might see, even though the community notes on X is pretty decent. But you have to do your research and be able to filter out some of that stuff. So, there's a give and take here, but, at the end of the day, what I'm able to take is a lot better. And the same goes for YouTube, right? YouTube is a great place to learn about things. Like really top level people in their fields share their expertise and knowledge on YouTube, right? And that's why you see a lot of people going to YouTube for learning, actually. It's also a really strange network because it's the only one that does these strange things. Like, for example, it's the only social media network where like the company identifies and kind of like promotes people to become influencers. Like they literally like go around and handpick people and say, okay, you're an influencer in LinkedIn. If you've got this badge over here, there's no need to double down and say you're a LinkedIn top voice. Everybody knows that that's what this is, right? I don't know of any other social media network that does that. But they do that, right? Again, it's linked back. So you get a bunch of like corporate culture type of bros and sis who sit around and try to promote this like image and this basically culture, right? By looking around the people and you know picking them and making them LinkedIn influencers, quote unquote, and you know they have that special like uh, LinkedIn influencer like box, right? So it's kind of like the Twitter check mark or something. But you know, I mean, it's really weird, right? What is the criteria? It's a very strange and nebulous thing. But if you are endowed as a LinkedIn influencer, you know, you've been anointed, and whatever you say is kind of like gospel, or so one would think. But it's not that. And thank God I was never approached to be a LinkedIn influencer. I would have turned them down, um, and they probably never approach me because I speak my mind. Sometimes that might not be what they want to see, but I don't care, right? I don't work for them, and I'm not a slave to a platform. They do a bunch of other weird things, like they have this thing where they'll tell you who looked at your profile, and you have to do certain things to control who can see that you looked at their profile. It's like this weird subversion of privacy, right? Like, you know, somebody looked at me, a recruiter looked at me. I mean, I understand from a recruiter looking at you, okay, fine, but it's not just that, right? It's anybody looking. It's like, you know, what if it's somebody's boss or some other company competitor? I don't know. It's just really weird that they even have such a thing where you can control and see who's been looking at whose profile. Like, what is the point of that? I don't get it. Now, a lot of people blame it on the LinkedIn algorithm. It's like, hey, you know, the LinkedIn algorithm is why LinkedIn is like, and you know, the algorithm promotes all of these, you know, these posts about, you know, how they met a homeless person and gave money to that person. That homeless person ended up being the CEO of their company or whatever, right? And it promotes that for the clickbaits, and that's why LinkedIn is the way it is. It's because of the algorithm, and that's true. It is because of that. The algorithm does do that, but it's not because of the algorithm. It's because of people who create and promote the algorithm, right? So it's the people there. The people working at LinkedIn is why it's like that, right? They're the ones who actually create the algorithm and adjust it and make tweaks to it in certain ways, right? And that's why it works the way it works. You know, there's the humans behind it. And so it's really the culture at LinkedIn, the company, the reason why the site is like that. At the end of the day, that's the truth, whether you like it or not. So there's 4 types of people on LinkedIn. So there's actually 5, right? And which I don't really count, but you know, there are the people who just post their resume up and they never ever go there unless they're looking for a job. And actually that's the right way to do things. Then there's 4 other types of people there. Right? So like the first one is there are people who are just they think they're thought leaders, and they just post all kinds of like, you know, word salad, if you I have no better word for it, but word salad out there, and you know, they're just self-anointed thought leaders in whatever domain, and they just spew a lot of noise. So that's one. Then there's the types of posters who got it confused. They think they're on Instagram, but it's not Instagram's LinkedIn, but it's just like photo after photo of a glam shot about them with some weird uh, hook into something that has to do with a little bit of like career related stuff. But it's mostly about their photo and how glammy they look. Um, then there's like these like click farmers who post and they join like these pods so that everybody likes what they post to get more likes and more followers. And some of them are pretty big, right? They have like, you know, 100,000 followers uh, doing this click farming. And you know, it's just like interesting random stuff they steal off of TikTok or X. You can kind of see it here, right? Like it's literally like copy and paste job from X into LinkedIn by this account. I don't even know if this account is a real person or a bot these days, who has apparently 50,000 followers, and dude's just like click farming, right? Stuff, content from X and other places into LinkedIn. And there's a lot of accounts that do this. It's just literally copy and paste job for the click farms. And the only way I realized this was I started going to the other platforms and seeing like, yo, man, like everything I'm seeing on LinkedIn is like always like late. It's like it's where they end. It's like where they come to die, right? Like the generation of the actual original content is in the other platforms. And that's where you should be looking at for original stuff and not copy and paste repost job that end up making it days or weeks later. The thing is, that exists everywhere, but I just don't get it on the platform of LinkedIn. I mean, the other platforms, you can make money out of that by getting advertising and blah, 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 right? But LinkedIn is just, no. Like, like you make money maybe off of a brand, but what brand are you creating from click farming? I don't get it. So they're click farmers, but I don't get why they're click farmers. And finally, there are the very, very annoying marketers who just go out and make connections to every single person. Thank God there's a limit to how many they can make in a day, because they would go and make 10 million a day if the system allowed them to do it. And you get spam emails, and it's just a lot of marketing noise, right? So that's the fourth category of people. And combined, I mean, it's hard to actually look for content of value there, right? It really is. There are some, right? There are a few people who do post stuff that I actually used to read, and it was actually a few of them was like original content. But it's like so rare. It's like out of like all the people that I see on my feed, there's maybe like less than 5 people like that. And to me, that's not worth it. Like I don't have to sift through all this to see those 5 people. I can't trim all of my connections down to just 5 people, screw my platform up. So I just stopped going, right? One of the really bad things, I'm talking about mental wellness about LinkedIn, is that there's a lot of comparison going on where, you see everybody, it's literally the mecca of humble bragging, right? Oh, I am humbled to accept the award of blah, 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 or I achieved this. So it's all these like achievements that are going on. As you know, none of it is like 100% pure, right? Everything's elevated because just like Instagram photos, you want to look better than you are. But the problem is when you see like this in your feed, you start to feel like you freaking accomplished nothing. Everybody's doing all these great things, and what are you doing? And it really is not good for you in that sense. It's like, for me, it's not like I wasn't able to achieve anything in my life. I've been able to achieve a few things in my life. And I still felt like I wasn't doing anything. Everybody's posting about what they achieved, what they did, all the good things that they... If you read your feed, you'd think that everybody's going to become a freaking chairman of the board. Forget CEO, right? And that's actually a really big toll on your mental wellness. You start feeling like you are nothing, like you didn't achieve anything. And the more you scroll and you come to LinkedIn, the more you feel that way. It's kind of like the Instagram thing with teens not feeling pretty because everybody looks so pretty. So that's actually a really, really bad thing. And I can't stress how bad it is for you, actually. And one of the main reasons why I stopped just going there, right, is because it just wasn't good for me. And so, you might be asking, why the heck did I ever start posting a lot in LinkedIn? Why didn't I just keep my resume there and just come there when I, was looking for a job? And the reason was, I was in the middle of building an entrepreneur community right here in Southeast Asia and in Singapore. And I figured that, well, among the platforms, it made sense that LinkedIn, career related, a bunch of startup founders there. I figured that would be the place where I'd start building an audience. And so that's why I started posting on LinkedIn a couple of years ago. And, a couple of things about LinkedIn is it's really easy, right? Compared to other social networks, because especially if you have like a job and a career with a name brand company, you can use that to, and everybody wants to just like and connect with you if you are somebody with a title working for some company, right? Because they hope that maybe they can work there. Again, it's just the weird cringiness there. So it's easy to get a lot of followers. They're all like willing to connect with you and follow you, right? And yes you and clap with you if you have a decent job title at a decent company. And so that's what I did, right? I did have a decent job title and a decent company, and that was a start. And that makes it easy, right? And everybody's nice because nobody wants to be, mean, because they're gonna not have a good career. So you get this very filtered, like clap, yes, I support you, type of thing, and that's very easy to grow. That's not that easy. Like not everybody can just do it off the bat, but it's easier than some of the other social networks. For example, like YouTube, where I'm trying to build one right now. So I figured use LinkedIn and build an audience, and I did that, and I grew it to like 40,000, and if I didn't stop, I probably would have grown it to, kept going to 100,000 perhaps. And I thought that was going to help me get and build the community of startup founders, which it did to a degree. But basically, there was like this diminishing return, and I basically crossed the Rubicon of where like I started finding that, posting stuff, and you can go, if you're brave enough, you can go to LinkedIn and read some of my old posts. You know, I didn't like that I was starting to post stuff that I was like getting, the cringe stuff, right? I didn't like that. And I didn't want to have to do that in order to continue building an audience in that place. So that's kind of why I stopped. I'd rather post like real stuff, like real talk, like this kind of stuff. And I can't do that over there. So that's why I'm here on YouTube. And I like YouTube because these long format videos let you talk about things in depth, not like a small, shallow, one-off, but like you can go into a topic pretty deeply, such as we are in this video about LinkedIn. And so that's why I kind of moved over and spent my time creating content here in YouTube. And what I use LinkedIn for today is it's basically just my, my business card on the internet. If people find me here on YouTube, then they can look at me on LinkedIn, and then they can see and legit check me over there. And that's its purpose, right? And maybe I'll talk about, some marketing stuff over there, just not like cold call marketing, but just put up posts about things that have happened and successes, which adds to the mental stress, right? But not for, me being humble bragging, but to just, develop my business. That's what I'll use LinkedIn for from now on. And I'm not going to be posting and being active over there for the reasons I just mentioned. The funny thing is the most viral post I had there, which was, when it got over 100,000 likes or blah, blah, wasn't even about anything to do with careers or jobs. It was about the Olympics and how Filipino women, she won the very first gold medal for the Philippines. And I was posting about, because I was born and raised in the Philippines, even though I'm Korean, and that meant a lot to me because I grew up watching all the Olympics, hoping that Philippines would win their first gold medal. Never happened. And it finally happened, much later in life. And so I posted about that. And that post went viral. It had nothing to do with careers. And honestly, that post I could have posted anywhere else, like Facebook. I kind of realized, like, then what's the point of... So I just don't understand like why I needed to post it there after seeing the results of that. So, all in all, look, I'm not saying like LinkedIn has no use. It has a very good use for job seeking and job hunting, and for corporates to find candidates. They've actually done some damage because it's so easy to do a LinkedIn apply with one button. Now it's just like full of noise. Like I've used LinkedIn. Like our company paid for LinkedIn. I tried to use LinkedIn to, to hire people for positions I had, but it was always, it never worked, right? Never worked. It was either somebody I knew or we had to pay a recruiter. And but that's its use, right? Like to do the social networking part, like you won't see any real influencers like posting in LinkedIn. They're on X or somewhere else, right? Like they're not on LinkedIn. Like that's not their place, right? Like it's the place of wannabe people, like the wannabe gurus. It's rare for the real gurus to be posting here, but it's not rare for the wannabe gurus, some founder, startup CEO, or whatever, VP or whatever, posting. That's where you'll find all the mesh, including me, right? I said, like, I used to do that, right? I'm just coming clean with you here. Now I'm posting on YouTube where I can post the truth and whatever I want to say with much more flexibility, and the audience on YouTube can tell whether or not it's BS or something worth their time, right? And I like that. And so it's a true test, really, of whether or not the content resonates with people. The other thing is it's good to, because it's easy to build that. It's an easy social network. You can use that to practice and start building and gain knowledge and how to do certain things about posting and creating an audience. Yeah, it's easy. And so and you can learn from that, right? And then go from there to other real social networks where the company started out with a social network from the get-go and not added it on the side later. And so yeah, so there are those uses for LinkedIn, right? But yeah, I've learned after building up an audience and using it for as much as I could use it for that I kind of hit the limit and I've moved on. And anyway, that's my experience with it. If you want to see all the cringe posts, there's so many other channels. There's, LinkedIn Lunatics on Reddit, and if you go to X, you'll see a bunch of accounts just with all the cringe LinkedIn posts, and you can go there for that kind of stuff. I just wanted to talk to you personally about my own experience with it and how I started with it, how I ended up outgrowing it, and why I moved here to YouTube. So having said that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace. What else we got? Okay, here we go. And who is a top voice, okay? An anointed person here saying that 8 visuals will change how you think about success. Number 1. Doors will open for those who are brave enough to knock. Just in case you're going to rip this, he puts this here. But I mean, is that really? Or what kind of a visual is that? A red door that you're knocking on and a green door that's opening.